What would you do when you can't swim to save your life, but the only way out of a pitch dark cave is to swim in the heavy currents of an underground river? Would you climb sharp-edged stones in the jungles of Vietnam when soaking wet from the heavy rain? How often would you get up after slipping in mud and landing on your butt while your Air Force slowly ripped itself? If someone asked me these questions when I signed my release form before starting my first caving expedition, I don't think I would have signed it so eagerly. I remember the biggest reason I wanted to travel to Vietnam was to go caving. I had no idea what it would entail for me to be there. All I knew was seeing pictures of people inside the caves made my heart beat so fast. I could only imagine how fast it would beat to actually be there. When rain and river water mixed with my sweat kept my clothes damp for days, my concern wasn't to dry myself off, but to make sure I kept my camera as clean and dry as possible. I wanted to capture every single inch of the cold, dark place that my camera could pick. Every time we would make our way through a new corridor into a new space, our guide's briefing was followed by a pin-drop silence. It wasn't just because we were literally deep under the earth in a world occupied by only those with me, but because everyone was literally stupefied. It's insane to think that these beautiful creations took over millions of years to form. The growth of these formations is extremely slow, as rivers flowing from rocks create intricate cuts, which over time take shape into some really cool rock formation. I remember my jaw opening super wide every time I laid my eyes on any cave formation, taking in every color, texture, and shape of the stones, trying to imagine how, with just the tides of river water, rock could mold itself into such intricate and beautiful carving. Stepping out of caves into broad daylight comforted me. It was mostly because my mind was comfortable putting my body in that atmosphere, but my heart ached for being inside again. The walk to reach the caves are honestly one of the most immersive. Making our way through dense forest, slippery pathways, and even some waterfalls and rivers, we met with gorgeous sights. On our expedition, we visited more than 5 caves. Every single one was more special and beautiful than the last. It's impossible to imagine that a single river is responsible for creating such a marvelous system. The water infiltrates the small cracks and nooks inside the caves, depositing minerals over rocks which solidify over time, creating these vast, awe-inspiring structures. When our guide suggested we turn off our headlight, we realized there is nothing in this world as dark and quiet as the inside of the cave. It's maddening to think that these beautiful formations are hidden from plain sight all their lifetime. Every time I would point my flashlight to an area, what my eyes saw was something beautiful, yet scary. Giant structures standing tall, grand, and unbothered. The beam from our headlight could only see up to a very small range, and it made my mind wonder what lay beyond my vision. Unaware of where I was headed and what I would find, every step I took was like shooting in the dark, and everything I saw was a flicker of hallucination. Stepping a foot into the vast unknown while losing balance over the slippery, muddy rocks. Holding on to dear life while still unable to see anything beyond the rays of the headlight. Jumping into the river running with high tides with nothing but a life jacket. Trusting strangers to help me make out alive from this expedition. Drinking heavily with locals and sharing every meal. Making friends with people who did not understand the language I spoke. Being in a foreign land and climbing some of the most magnificent cave formation with strangers from around the world is without a doubt the best bonding experience I could have asked for. When I returned back from my expedition, I remember video calling my brother and crying uncontrollably. It was one of those rare moments in my life that I had expanded myself beyond everything I knew without the surveillance of anyone I know. I realized that this version of me was freshly created, and I was extremely overwhelmed and scared to be her. I was honestly terrified of being more than what I had defined myself to be. I didn't know what I was doing or why I was doing it. I wasn't sure of anything except being in caves for 3 days straight changed parts of me that I didn't even know existed.